Are they unlucky? Are they unwanted? Are they weak and vulnerable and lost? Are they good people who've had bad breaks? Are they con artists, losers, alcoholics and drug addicts and thieves? Are they hard workers who can't find jobs? Are they lazy? Are they bad kids from good homes, good kids from bad homes? Have they been neglected, abused, discarded? Are they the leftovers, the forgotten ones, the brokenhearted? Are they decent, dignified, liars, quitters? Are they mentally ill? Have they squandered every chance? Did they ever really have a chance? Yes. The answer is, of course, yes to all of it. 1,000 homeless, 1,000 stories, 1,000 reasons. Good, bad, right, wrong, everything in between. Don't look away. Don't avert their gaze. It's too late for that. Look into their eyes and think to yourself, there, but for the grace of God, go I.
I guess when it comes right down to it, I was just curious. Like you, I've seen them living in the cracks and crevices, and I wondered, who are they? Where do they come from? What do they want? What's going to happen to them? And so we started talking to them. What you're going to see for the next hour are very real, very honest, oftentimes brutal conversations with the homeless of our city. These are not hand-picked success stories from social services to make us feel better about the situation. This is the real deal. So here you go. Here are their stories.
On the outskirts of Ballard is a makeshift camp where a handful of hardscrabble men band together for support against the elements and their demons and life itself. And out from amongst a ramshackle tangle of tarps and tents and carts and bikes limps Scott Crony. He grew up in Bellevue. His dad was a Boeing exec. Years ago he spent time in prison. Heroin had him by the throat for a while after that. And now he's here.
Yeah, I was working, I was a career criminal for a while. Up until I was about 30, I made a decision to not live that way anymore. I just got tired of being an asshole and bad karma and whatnot. And when I got out of prison in 2004, I got a job fixing industrial sewing machines and got a really good job, making good money on salary, and my feet went bad on me. The last thing in the world I expected to happen.
The feet. When you are homeless, your feet are everything. Scott's feet have gone to hell on him.
They're pretty savage right now. Sorry, I apologize. They're pretty ugly. I was trying to let them get some air, but I just cleaned them just like yesterday, and this is after one day going back to you.
And what is that again?
Cellulitis. It basically makes your legs swell up kind of clay-like.
Geez, man, you need to be in the hospital, Scott.
I wish I could. But yeah, these are shopping carts. Basically just some of my stuff that's not so easy to move around. Shopping carts are a really convenient way to move things and free, even though you're not supposed to use them. And then last year, my motorhome was booted because of tickets. I've been on the street ever since.
How long is that?
About a year and a half.
How would you describe that life to me?
God, it's insane. It's like every day is like, I'm chasing, getting water, getting food for Tia, my dog. It's like, just basic necessities. That's like the hardest thing is,
He has a daughter out there. He was in prison when she was born.
No contact?
Not much.
Does she know your situation?
No. No, she doesn't know anything. Well, hopefully not anyway, not much of it.
Yeah.
But I don't tell her anything. I don't want her to worry and think anything ill of me.
Well, what a thing to have lost.
Yeah.
This is Doug. He and Scott help each other out. Doug has a gentle shyness about him. a certain sweetness that the streets haven't been able to wipe away.
When's the last time you worked, Doug?
Probably 2007. Yeah, I mean, I've worked odd jobs here and there since then, but, you know, nothing full-time or part-time.
What's the future hold for you?
I just hope that it goes better than it is now, you know, and...
How old are you, Doug?
25.
25?
Yeah. Yep.
And how long you been out here?
Probably since I was about 9 years old. You know, I don't really want to say that on the news or anything, but, you know, 10 years.
Since you were a little kid?
Yeah. You know, it was my own fault. The choices I made when I was younger. It took me 10, 20 years to realize that everything that happens to me is because of what I did, not because this person did this to me, this person did this to me. You can't blame others, you know?
But if you were 9 years old, that's just a little boy.
Yeah, but I was a pretty bad little kid. I mean, I made really poor choices, and, you know, my parents did the best they could do, and I love them for it. I'll never hate my parents for that. They're doing the best they could. It's just, they said don't do it, that was what I did, you know?
Out here, everybody's got baggage. Everybody's carrying something around in their gut. But what do you say to a man whose burden can be traced back to when he was 9? How do you tell him that no little boy could be that bad? The busted up and bruised are welcome here. Visitors come and go. The days come and go. Scott's legs get worse. Doug lugs around his guilt.
Most of the people here just you know, if you can just be nice, say hi, and if you got a buck or a extra donut.
It's not easy, is it? I can tell.
Yeah, it's crazy.
A week later, their camp was tagged by the Department of Transportation, and then a week after that, Scott and the rest of them were physically moved out, probably just down the street a ways. It wasn't the first time, probably won't be the last, and so on, and so on.
Are you worried about yourself?
Every day. Yeah, my feet and my legs, and being able to take care of my dog.
The ones who don't actually contemplate it are the lucky ones. Ric Cypher isn't like that. He measures what he has lost, carefully counts what he has squandered in his life, packs it all onto his back, and trudges forward. The weight of his guilt grinds away at him like bare rims on asphalt.
I call it my jacket. It's my jacket.
You gotta wear it.
I gotta wear it. And I do every day. I get up and I go through and I try to make the best out of the day. And I try to get piece by piece my life back.
He was a star linebacker at Franklin High back in the day. He went to college, got a job, worked 24 years as a machinist.
I was making a good living. We had a nice home. I was good. I was a good father. You know, I was a guy that mowed the yard on Sunday and had a barbecue.
But he started drinking heavily in 1999, and alcohol led to drugs, which led to divorce.
We had a beautiful home in Des Moines, a deck, hot tub, view of Puget Sound. She'd had enough. She started to get scared. But I was working. I was a functioning alcoholic, you know, and I was using drugs. She left me. She left, and I look back, I don't blame her a bit. So she took my daughter and she moved away, and that just left me alone in my misery, and that's it.
He lost his job and became homeless. He cashed in his 401k to feed his drug habit. His life unraveled.
So I came up with this crazy idea to rob a bank. I robbed a bank.
In 2004, Ric found a ski mask in the bushes, waited for an afternoon Mariners game. He held up a key bank downtown, stuffed $6,000 into his pants, ran around the corner, put on a Mariners t-shirt and a cap, went to Safeco Field, and got in line for a beer across the street from the ballpark.
So I'm standing there and I'm in line. And I'll never forget, I heard this scream, "Stop him, he robbed the bank. Stop him, he robbed the bank." And I turned around and there he was. He was standing there and he was jumping up and down and pointing at me. So I immediately looked at the police officer that was standing next to me. And both of our eyes met. We just looked at each other. He didn't do anything for, seemed like eternity. And my heart was beating, and I looked at that guy, and I looked back and I said, it's over. I took off running.
That's the bank there in the distance. He did 5 years hard time because of what happened there. And when he got out, he went back to work as a machinist. He had an apartment. He rebuilt his relationship with his 2 children. But in 2010, he was almost killed by a car in a crosswalk, and by the time he got out of the hospital, the painkillers had him in their grip. And so for the second time, it all slipped through his fingers.
The worst of all of this is not me. It's not what I'm going through or how I'm living. It's what I've done to my 2 children. You know, my son is embarrassed of me. He's actually embarrassed. My son played high school football, and he was very good at it. And he played at Curtis High School in Tacoma, which is a powerhouse high school football team. Went to the playoffs, and that was one of the worst things I've ever experienced in my life. My son played football, and his old man never got to see him play. That was a dream of mine.
Did he not want you there?
No, I was in prison.
Oh.
Yeah, his old man was in prison.
He has the money to get a place, he says, but he's a felon, and felons have a hard time renting rooms. He says he's been rejected 30 times or so, and he says the streets are increasingly mean.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I was up by the Paramount Theater sleeping, and I woke up and I was getting kicked. They kicked me, stomped on me, and knocked a tooth out, and took everything I had. Took my backpack, took everything but the sleeping bag. They were kind, they left me the sleeping bag. As they walked away, I looked and I just thought, you know what? They took nothing. There's nothing in that. It's just I had a few pictures of my kids. I had some books.
He says now that he's worn down and tired. He says he feels like a ghost.
I live my life now in my mind. My relationship with my children are memories now because they're not there. And I live on memories. That's all I have, you know? My mortality is finally come to my mind. I see it, I feel it. I don't know how much, if something doesn't change, I don't know how much longer this can go on. I don't know.
The stuff, the heroin and the booze, the meth and the painkillers and the dope. How powerful is it? How good is the stuff? Good enough to give up everything for it. Love and hope, the past and a future, children and their love, a roof and 4 walls. To give up those things, the stuff must be very, very good.
I tried it. I got addicted to it. I felt the high. I felt good. I didn't stop.
They'll do its bidding. They'll steal for it, lie and cheat for it, even die for it. The stuff is good, unbelievably good, and then it is bad. Gut-churning, teeth-rotting, soul-shattering bad. But by then the love affair has been cemented, and to turn away from it, to break up with the stuff, hurts more than anything. Look at those eyes, icy blue, knowing, tired. Maybe they've seen too much. Look at the hands, dirty, adorned, worn down. Their grip on this life is tenuous. Every part of this woman expresses, tells a story.
I'll spare any change today? Thanks anyway.
Her name is Lexi. She is funny and bright. She is homeless and a drug addict.
Spare any change this afternoon? Thank you anyways.
She is beaten down and worn out, and her story is a tragedy in search of a happy ending. And as the days and years pass, the happy part grows ever more unlikely.
How old are you now? 27 now.
27.
Yep.
You seem older than 27 to me.
A lot of people think I'm a lot younger, a lot older.
Yeah.
Or they ask me if I have kids, or yeah. As I think I've experienced enough life and death for 3 or 4 lifetimes.
Does it change you? Does it harden you?
Yeah. It used to be more good than bad, I think, and I was kind of. I wish I could take some things back. I wish I could not see a lot of things that I've seen.
Have you been physically attacked when you're homeless, or
Yes.
sexually attacked
Yes.
when you're homeless?
Yeah. I really miss my pit bull because it didn't happen when I had her, and I'm still looking for her every day, but.
Her dog's name was Lucy. The two of them ran off and hopped freight trains across the country. Lucy was taken from her a year ago. She was one of Lexi's 2 great loves.
Since she's been gone, I've already woken up with some man's hands down my pants, and I pushed him off of me, and he punched me in the mouth for disrespecting a man. I've never seen him before in my life. And this is one of the incidences.
Oh, Lexi. So now what?
I'm just keep looking for my dog and keep trying to get a home. If I don't get housing soon, then I have to leave Seattle because I cannot do another winter here. It's so hard in the winter out here, just every day getting rained on. So I'll tell you right now, I'll go back to drugs, and I don't want to ever again. It's like getting rained on every day, and you're cold and wet and miserable. It's like there's nothing else to do out here. And then people walk by you, and of course, when you're not trying to do it, they say, "Here, you want some heroin? It's free."
Heroin. That's the other thing Lexi has loved.
And there was just one day in Chicago where my boyfriend broke up with me, and I hated life, and I wanted it to end, and I was just buzzed enough, and my friend was like, "Here, try some of this." And I was hoping, honestly, that I'd just OD. And my first time doing heroin, I just didn't want to feel anything, and I wanted to die. And instead, I fell back and saw hearts and stars and fell in love, and I knew I was screwed from then on.
You say you fell in love.
Yeah,
You mean with
it was
heroin?
my new boyfriend. I didn't date anybody after that. I didn't care about anybody else or anything.
For a long time, she says she would do almost anything for it, including steal.
I mean, that's the only way you can ever get what you need. If you have a habit that's like $50 a day, and then you have to steal from stores, and then you have to go return it and get the gift card, and then you have to take the gift card and take it to this guy to cash it in for money, and I don't like stealing. I'm not a good thief either.
But you would for
you
the
have
stuff,
to.
right?
Yeah.
Late at night, while the rest of us sleep, homeless kids make downtown Seattle their playground. This is Lexi's world. These are her friends. This is her element.
What about shelters and stuff? Lexi,
Everybody thinks that somebody can just go to a shelter, and why don't you go to a shelter? Why aren't you in a shelter? My 2 small experiences in a shelter, the first one, I had to fight. It was kind of messed up. It was either you fight or you get your ass beat. Or in the second one, I got all my stuff stolen, so it was the same as outside. Hi.
She runs into a friend named Dawn Trell. They share a cigarette. He tells her the bad news about a friend.
That's
You
good.
heard about Tex, right?
No.
Texas is dead.
Tex, little.
Passed away.
How'd that happen?
Overdose.
That sucks really bad because I just saw him the other day, probably the same day. It's no shock. Kind of numb to my friends dying now. Every time I get on Facebook, it's another one gone. Kind of stopped crying after a while.
how many friends of yours do you think?
No way I could count. No way. Every year there's at least 20.
How does it happen? Who are these kids that end up here like this? For Lexi, it wasn't always about the streets and death and drugs. That is her as a little girl, dancing. And maybe you'll be interested to know that she's dancing at my wedding in 1995. You see, Lexi isn't just some homeless kid.
It's as close as in your own family.
Yeah.
To me, she is family. She is blood, my first cousin's granddaughter.
Hey, Alex. Look, you're on TV. Yes, you are.
The first time I interviewed her was 25 years ago.
Tell me about this book you're looking at here.
I'm looking at the Bambi.
You're looking at what?
Bambi.
Who's Bambi? Huh?
I don't know.
You know, you just had your whole life in front of you, and you had a charisma about you, and you still do, Lexi. But I remember thinking, this girl's amazing. And she's still in there, right? I mean...
Yeah. No, I've bounced back before. I still want to be a chef. I still consider myself a cook. I miss cooking. It was part of my therapy. Like, I keep telling people, just give me a home right now, and I swear to God, I will. I have chefs that, want me back. They know that I have it in me, and that I just want to go work for them so I can show them what I got still. And
can it happen, or is there a part of you that's given up?
No, I can't ever give up. And then I'll just be like the rest, and I don't see myself like them. I'll never give up. It's taken a lot longer for me to get back on my feet this time. It's because of the damage that it's done to my body, and my mind. But I'll get back up there eventually.
I wish I could go back and warn her about life and all the things that trip us up.
What now?
Kids can't be in that newspaper.
Why not?
I wish I could have caught her along the way and turned her in a different direction, made her understand that she never was invincible.
It's good to see you, Ric.
It's good to see you. Take care of yourself, all right?
Say hi to Mo and the kids.
I will say hi to Mo and the kids.
Somewhere behind those stunning eyes that seem so tired now, I know Lexi would like to go back too and start over. I bet she thinks about it all the time. Robert DeWitt strides with purpose towards the edge of the infamous jungle.
Yeah, no, I'm over here.
To show us where he lives.
Hi, buddies. Hi, buddies.
He's a gentle guy, sweet even.
My tent's the one over here. Me and my wife share it with our dog.
Robert doesn't complain, but if you ask him, he'll tell you anything. And some of it you wish you didn't know.
Well, my dad left before I was born. My mom died when I was 2. My grandma raised me until I was about 12 or 13 when I went into foster care. She passed away when I was 15. And really don't have much family. Matter of fact, I don't think I have any family that I talk to left anyway.
Spit into the world at 18, no family, no education, no foundation, nothing to fall back on. Within 5 years, he was homeless.
And
you're looking at a man who barely had a fighting chance.
I don't really know why I'm homeless. It's probably a choice I choose to be, but I'm a convicted felon, so it's hard for me to get a place or work. Didn't finish high school, so I don't have a GED. And then I was in special ed in high school, so I have a learning disability, so a little bit harder, but I still try to, do as best I can.
He did 91 days in Snohomish County Jail for attempted residential burglary. He says he was in an abandoned apartment trying to stay warm. By now you've noticed Robert's eye. Nobody should have this story to tell.
Life's too short to have a negative look on it. I've already died once. I'm not even 30 yet. I've just got to keep my head up and keep going forward.
What do you mean you already died once?
I was going through a real rough time in my life, and
started doing drugs and turned to heroin, and my third time doing it, I overdosed and was dead for about 4 hours, and my wife brought me back through CPR, but during that time after I was outside being homeless, and a rat ate off half my eyelid, and now because of that, I'm blind in one eye.
Rats took his eyelid and they chewed on his cornea too, infecting it beyond repair.
Oh, you're lying, a rat. Yeah, no. When I went to the hospital and they did more thorough looks, they saw that it was teeth marks that, in fact, took half my eyelid.
You ever scared?
All the time, but can't let the fear, get me down, because...
What scares you?
That I'm not good enough, that I'm not going to be able to make it, that somebody will come up and shoot me, everyday things, but I can't let that keep me down.
And you say that's an all-the-time feeling?
Because you never know when somebody's going to be all drugged out and come up during the middle of the night, throw gas on your tent and set you on fire.
I mean, those are things that actually go through your mind.
Because it's actual things that go on. They move it all over and stretch a tarp out and make a little patio area.
There is something about Robert DeWitt that breaks your heart. It's hard to put a finger on it, and then it hits you. You realize what it is. He still believes. Honest to God, the man still believes.
God has a purpose. Even if it takes one eye to see what it is, when it comes, I will see it. And yeah, I'm not going to be here my entire life. I mean, even in the Bible, Jesus didn't start doing anything until he was 32. All right, I got another, couple more years.
Away from these places, the rest of us wrestle with important questions. In a civilized society, do the strong take care of the weak? In a just society, do the weak take advantage of the strong? But inside these places, the questions are far more primitive. How to eat, how to ride out the cold, how to blunt the numbness of hunger, how to stay alive. Or perhaps even, is it worth staying alive? Aaron Johnson lives here, under some tarps near Inner Bay, just off 15th Avenue. He's been homeless now for 5 or 6 years. He says he used to be a web designer. Now he says he's scared. Always.
The fear gets to you to the point that you have to embrace it or go puke or go hide in a corner. And it's literally that bad. Like when you realize, oh, there's just a tarp between me and the raccoon or me and the weirdo that's looking at me from the bushes, it kind of really sets in. And it sets in very heavy too. Because like when you're out here, the elements get at you, the critters get at you, people get at you. I've had people just leave their homes and come down and just start shaking my tent. Like, hey, get out, homeless guy, get out. Why aren't you doing something with yourself? I'm sleeping between my job, and I've had people try and literally drag me down the street by my ankles just for their own amusement, and I'm no different than their neighbor that would be saying, hey, Bob. It's just because I'm stuck in that position.
Yeah. He had a roommate in Olympia for a time, but when the roommate couldn't pay his half of the rent, they were both thrown out. It's been a downhill spiral ever since.
How do you get by?
How do I get by? I try to do labor. I find things on the road and I go sell them on Craigslist or OfferUp and use what cash I can at that point. Sometimes I literally have to steal my meals. I really don't like it, but it is what it is. And when you're actually that hungry, it's almost like a blackout and you just go make it happen.
How do you do that?
Literally just walk into a store and walk out. I mean, like when you're that hungry and you're facing a seizure or a stroke or something like that from hunger, you just end up doing it. Not to incriminate myself, but it is what it is. If I were to get charged for it, it'd be under $10 and a judge would laugh at it. So.
Behind him are his neighbors, this woman, this man. Some people get used to it, scraping out a life on the streets. Maybe there's a point of no return where homelessness becomes such a part of a person that they can't or won't go back. Aaron says he's not there. Not yet.
You ever find yourself going, how in the hell did I get in this place?
Yeah, literally, you know, like half the time I wake up, it's just like, F me, this is a bad dream.
Aaron figures 70% of the people on the streets, the ones we look right through every day, want out, want a job and a home and warmth, but they can't figure out how to make it happen. I asked him about the rest.
So you think that 30% are probably homeless just because that's
who they are.
That's who they are. A nomadic nature, maybe.
Yes, very much so. The rest of us, dude, we want out of here as fast as we can. I really don't enjoy this. You know, I have to almost fake it in a way of just like laughing at it like a satire. You know, I literally have to change my mindset and just say, oh, I'm just living a satire. You know, someone's filming me somewhere. And that's about the only way I get through it, really.
Even amongst the hundreds of street kids on the Ave in the U District, scratching out an existence, sharing with one another, stealing from one another. This girl stood out. Her street name is Pepper. She was 19 when we met her. 19, homeless.
I'll even stand up.
And very pregnant.
Got 7 more days. He's been kicking almost the whole time, too. Yeah, I'm 9 months. I got a week left. I found out about the pregnancy in Amarillo, Texas, whenever I was traveling with my husband.
She's from Florida originally. She hitchhiked to Seattle. She and her husband Hayes live in an RV.
Are you clean?
Yeah. I've been clean off of methamphetamine and heroin for pretty much the whole pregnancy, except like I found out at 6 weeks about the pregnancy, whenever that I'm pregnant, and I quit cold turkey. I was in a tent in a reservoir in Amarillo, Texas, and the pregnancy test said positive, and I threw it, and I said, nope, I'm done, no more.
Think you'll ever go back?
The only reason I would ever go back is if I lose my child. It's the only reason I'll ever go back.
Pepper says quitting heroin hurt too. Hurt like nothing else in the world.
And your body just hurts. It hurts so bad. Your fingers hurt. The wind that hits you hurts your skin, and you get cold sweats, and then you're hot while you're cold, and you're cold while you're hot. It's painful, and most people don't want to quit because they don't want to go through those withdrawals. And sometimes that's the only reason.
She asks for handouts on the Ave, bums cigarettes. There are shelters, she says, that would take her and her baby, but they won't take Hayes, and that is a deal breaker.
The economy doesn't want to help us because we're homeless, because they think that we're not good enough. People always sit there and ask people for help, and they look at us like we're not good enough. But we're just as good as anybody else.
Maybe you ask, how does it happen? How does a girl like Pepper end up here like this? She offers clues.
You know, I have only known you for a couple hours total, right? And I'm worried about you. I can only imagine what the people that care about you feel like.
My mother worries. She knows that, you know, I'm on the streets out here. She was on the streets for 8 years. She was a crack addict for 8 years, and I lost one of my brothers to CPS because of it, and she's actually been 4 years clean now. My mom's everything to me. She wasn't there most of my life. She was gone for 13 years, but my dad treated me worse than anybody, so me and my dad, I don't like being around my dad. I prefer to be with my mom.
Is it scary? Are you scared?
I'm terrified. I'm absolutely terrified. Are you kidding me? It's a scary thing. I'm having my first child, and I'm on the streets, and nobody will help me the way that I need actual help.
She said being pregnant was her salvation. She said giving birth might just save her own life.
Are you worried that they might take the baby away?
Every day I worry that they're gonna take my kid away. But at the same time, I have faith that, you know, it's not gonna happen. That I might be homeless, but it's actually not illegal to be homeless with your child. It's not illegal at all.
After that first interview, we found Pepper 5 months later. Her look had changed. She was still jobless, still homeless, but she had given birth to a baby boy named Mercy.
You don't really know what true love is until you have a child, because that child is going to love you unconditionally, because you are that child's mother, you are that child's parent, you brought that child into this world.
But it wouldn't be that simple for Pepper and Hayes. How could it be? Child Protective Services was there.
And then whenever I was in the recovery room, CPS came in, and before they could even introduce themselves, I just started crying, because no mother wants to sit there and just give their child away, you know, because they're not in the right position still, even though they've been trying so hard to get in the right position, you know. So for a mom to make those decisions, like, it was very, very painful. It was the hardest thing that I've ever had to go through.
Pepper's grandmother, who lives in Yakima, stepped up and adopted Mercy. Pepper and Hayes broke up and eventually got back together. She was depressed and lost, and so she went back to the drugs too. Then she says she quit again.
It's pretty much the same. I walk up and down the Ave, you know, just asking people for help, and it's a real struggle. It really is. And I've cried out for help multiple times, and nobody's there.
When she can get to Yakima, she's allowed to visit Mercy 3 times a month for 1 hour in a public place.
I dread the fact that, you know, my son will look back on this one day, and I'm terrified that he's gonna hate me for it.
Pepper still has dreams. She says she hasn't given up. She talks about getting off the streets and getting home, maybe even opening up a little bicycle shop with Hayes. As she says it, you want to believe her, but you find yourself wondering if she even believes it herself.
And in the long term, I see us being able to work together and everything like that. And then afterwards, like, I'll have my job, I'll be in my treatment center, and I'll have my son back. And I know it for a fact. And I do not doubt that I'll have him back.
Well, this is a crisis that's been a long time in creating.
There's a lot of homeless people here, yeah.
These are people who don't know how to be citizens.
People here act like wild animals sometimes, you know?
What the? Oh!
But they're human beings like the rest of us.
The homeless do need somewhere to sleep. The homeless do need somewhere to camp.
I mean, we're still people, you know? We want to have a place to call our own.
Without shelter, people die. We need all the help we can get.
People don't always want to be in, like, a sardine can, you know?
We do what we can. This is just our home for now.
Miles and miles of garbage and trash and human waste. It's hard to wrap your arms around people living in those conditions.
This is what I do. If they don't like it, tough.
That's what we do. We just comfort each other by getting each other high all freaking night. I think that's what we do. I'm pretty sure.
They're very vulnerable.
It's really lonely, you know. I miss my family right now.
We got to shine a light on it.
Like, hell no. Not down here, you ain't.
It's a whole combination of things that we got to address.
A drug deal goes down in the distance. Trains roll by. A narrow stretch of concrete under the Magnolia Bridge slowly comes to life. On a fence, odds and ends and towels dry out. There's a crucified sock puppet. And out from the muck and the filth pops the head of Teaman Crawford. He was homeless in Ventura County, California, until he was gently sent away.
The sheriff saw me when I first got there. We became friends, you know, acquaintances. And he finally said, 6 months later, he said, finally, where do you want to go, Team? What are you going to do? He said, you can't stay here forever. He was wanting me to move on down the road. And I said, well, can you help me get to Seattle? and he went to the property management, and they funded the money, and he bought it with his discount. And the law book made us take it up here.
Teaman says he was in a coma as a kid and was never the same after that.
Like, are you okay physically and
Mentally, I'm not. Physically, I am.
When you say mentally, I'm not, what do you mean by that?
I had seizures and just my reading, writing, math. I should be on SSI, but I'm not confident enough to be over my own.
I couldn't hear you.
I'm not confident enough to be over on my own finances. I'm not confident enough to know money, reading and writing, doctors. You know, I'm not confident enough to know that because my parents always did it. But I'm confident enough to work on like cars and stuff like that. I'm physically fit, but I'm mentally not fit.
Can you read?
I can't read well. I can't read well at all. When I came out of that coma, I didn't pick up reading, writing, and math. That's the three things I didn't pick up when I came out of that coma. I got a little bit of electricity. That's probably wrong to say, but
a little bit what?
Electricity. This is where the heat's coming from.
Wow. You got to be careful about fires.
Oh yeah.
He has two daughters out there somewhere. He was 14 when he fathered the first one. His tales of inhibition on the road are hard to fathom.
Brianne is the second one. I got her from a girl named Tammy in Colorado. I met Tammy in Colorado. We fooled around. She got pregnant. We moved to Kansas. I was running for the law. So I went back to Texas. I did 90 days in jail. I got out. I got burned.
He doesn't steal. He calls the people that help him angels.
Tell me what your life is like.
It's not bad. I mean, life goes good for some, and sometimes it don't. For a little while it goes good, and then it's like a roller coaster. It just goes straight down. Like, it's hard to come up from the bottom, and it's hard to stay on top.
After we talked to him that first time, they came and cleaned out where he was living and then fenced it off.
Yeah, they just ran us out of there. They just didn't like all that trash under the bridge, and they said they wanted the homeless to go on somewhere else.
But if you really want to find Teaman, he's still out there, asking for change, offering shy waves, and a sign that reads, "I hate this feeling, but it's better than stealing."
Hey, gracias, señorita. Thank you, señor.
Someone else must have written it for him.
It's $5.30, $6.30.
How's that?
It's pretty good.
Teaman doesn't seem to have a plan, doesn't seem to worry much, and has no idea what the future might hold.
I don't know. I really don't know, man.
That's Andrew Harris in the Magnolia Village, working at the convenience store at the 76 station.
It's $3.99 altogether.
He's worked there for 5 years. And that's actually just one of his jobs. He also works across the street at the liquor store. Andrew is 41 years old. He's not married, and he is a different brand of homeless.
People have this idea that people who are homeless, I don't even like that phrase necessarily to apply to myself, are irresponsible. I'm responsible for all of this. And I mean, yeah, it's just booze, but this is like thousands and thousands of dollars of responsibility.
He's from Iowa originally. Way back when, he fell in love with a Pearl Jam bootleg tape that somebody gave him, and one thing led to another.
I just knew there were more bootlegs in Seattle. I was like, I want more bootlegs. Where can I get bootlegs? I bet they have them in Seattle.
By working 2 minimum wage jobs, Andrew can pay rent or he can save some money, but no way can he do both. Some call it the working poor.
I'd like to save up and get a boat because then it's mine. I mean, I'm not renting from somebody.
You're not the average homeless guy.
No. I think it's, I don't like sleeping in my car, but it's something that I can do, and if I can get my paychecks and put my paychecks into a savings account and know that I have that there, then that feels good.
In recent years, he's stayed with friends, lived in a couple of apartments, rented a basement room, and now he lives in his car.
You know, but I was finding that between paychecks, my money was running out, and I had to go to a food bank to get food, to get by. And again, that's partially my fault because I would choose to go to the movies or go to the pub, but I feel like, or my thinking is, you should work to live, not live to work. And so it gets frustrating.
He parks his 86 Celica legally, and at night that's where he goes to sleep. He moves it around so he doesn't wear out his welcome anywhere. Then he wakes up the next day and goes back to one of his jobs. Andrew doesn't beg and he doesn't steal. He says he'll keep working and saving for that boat of his dreams. And if that means living in a 1986 Celica, so be it. That's Ronnie LaBranche. He's a man on the run. He's a man going nowhere.
Because it just started raining. Got a crappy tent. They took my tent. I said, hurry up and go. So I packed up my stuff and pushed it across the street and left. Well, I didn't leave. I just sit there and watched it pack up the rest of my shit and throw it away. Throw it on the truck, take it away. For about at least 20 times. More than that, probably.
To hear him tell it everywhere he goes, they tell him to move, so he moves, then they take his stuff and tell him to move again.
Notice in order to remove.
Then what are you going to do?
I'm going to push it across the street to the other block, and I'm going to set it right up again.
And then they're going to move you again.
And then I'm going to I just want to be like, I'm just going to move across the street.
How long you been homeless?
Since about 1972. Damn. Either in prison, jail, or... Dude, I went to prison. I was only supposed to do 4 months in jail. I did 42 months in prison.
44 years without a home. 44 years in the elements. It breaks a man down, inside and out.
I mean, you're about my age.
58.
Not getting any younger. And what happens? What happens to you?
What happens to you? Just deplete and die. Go away. Ash to ash, dust to dust. Salt of the earth, they say. That's what we are, I think.
You feel like it can't get any better?
No, it's like, I don't know. If I hit the lotto, I can, buy whatever I want. I can just sit back and do whatever I want to do.
If you hit the lotto.
That's all. What else? They're just gonna run me around, run. Dude, I get so tired of it every day. I can't even lay down and go to sleep because I gotta go out at night, find scrap. That's what I get. That's what I gotta scrap. Found this thing. It was a big tube. I cut that up. Little small piece of electrical wire I find in the dumpsters, are really big dumpsters when they're doing a remodel. They got wire.
Sometimes homelessness comes from mental illness. Sometimes mental illness comes from homelessness. The lines are blurry here, and it doesn't matter anyway. Out here, who cares which came first, the chicken or the egg?
The guy's gonna come out with something like this.
Okay.
Look.
All right. I'm glad
Cut the head right off. Just like that. You're like, what the? Oh, my eye. I have to beg money for a cigarette. You see the guy walk, hey, you got a cigarette? Hey, you got a penny, you got a dollar, got 50 cents? I'm running around 100 for homeless, 100 for homeless. 100 pennies a dollar, need 50 cents to get a beer. And people's looking at me like, shut up, dude. No, you can't have no beer. Here, buy some milk.
We came back a week later. Ronnie's stuff was gone. True to his word, he'd moved it just across the street. The man on the run is still going nowhere. A roof and 4 walls, a place to call your own, a home. What does it mean to a man? This man, who goes by the name of Ito, knows better than most. He has known hardship and failure in his life, and heartbreak. He was abused by his father as a boy. He's been homeless more than half his 51 years, 6 of them in Seattle. And when he tells you it is darkest at the very bottom of the hole, you can believe him. He lived in a van and in a storage unit in Everett, and for a time Ito lived in a dirt cave alongside the storage unit.
The key is first to forgive yourself for what happened. It's hard for me to say that without choking up. But once you've forgiven yourself, you have to find something that you love in life.
What Ito loves in life is art, and his art is a compulsion and an obsession and a reason to live.
You really do live for this stuff, don't you?
This is everything to me. It's my whole life. It's my story. This is my legacy. This is all I got. If it's all you got, and you don't do it, then you're abusing what you have.
He'd paint with his own blood if he had to.
What matters is that I'm working and that I'm creating.
His art is around him, on him, in him.
This is like your world, right?
Yep.
His entire world changed when he got this place, a modest room here at the Fry Apartments. It is low income, $25 per month. It has become his studio, and it is also where he conjures up his other art. Ito writes, produces, and performs song after song. There is an optimism about this man, a light that betrays everything he's been through. He plays usually 2 gigs a day for tips, one at the Space Needle, the other at Hing Hay Park. Everybody needs a home. Not many have needed one more than Ito did a year and a half ago, and look at what has happened.
I'm at the top of my game right now. This is as good as it's going to get in my life, and I know it. I got this beautiful place. It's a blessing to me, and I have my work. So I'm going to work really, really hard.
And even though he will tell you that this room has kept him alive, he will also tell you that given a choice between this home and his art, if he could keep only one of them, he would choose the art every time.
I'd rather be homeless, because my work is the single most important thing in my life.
With his home and his art,
Mary,
on that side or this side?
Yeah, and you're with Mary?
Ito didn't think life could get any better.
I'm feeling extremely nervous.
And then he met Jessica. She too is an artist. She too was recently homeless. And look at him now.
There you have it. I now pronounce you man and wife. Please kiss the bride.
From here on out, they will navigate the ups and downs of this world together. There is hardship on the streets of Seattle. There is meanness and desperation and hunger and pain. But occasionally, there are happy endings too. One hopes that this one is Ito's lasting masterpiece.